NoEditPodcast. We're on the spot. We're on the spot. We're on the spot. Click the link in the description box. Save Yorkis. We own that. Welcome to Studio J. My team found us a little spot. We're making moves. Make sure that we become trendsetters. You know, we don't want to be like everybody else. We don't even want to be near everybody else. We want to do what we do, put out good content, good information to the fans, let them decide. So again, subscribe, A, B. Click the link in the description box. Protect Yorkis. And then we also did the prediction of Loma Lopez yesterday morning before the fight. So that's also on there, the prediction. We'll do a recap, but we want to do the recaps live. My team sat down and decided, hey, man, let's not. I know other people are probably going to take this idea eventually when they get wind of it, but it's cool. So the recaps live. Let's mix it up. Let's do the recap. Let's go to different places and do different things and push out that recap. Push out the recaps. So we're probably going to live the recaps. I'll probably do one, and then we'll live the recaps. As far as the fight last night goes, excellent. Again, I have to let you see the prediction first before we do a recap. My team wanted to do it today. Let's do the recap tonight. It's the next day, yada, yada, yada. No. Let the fight absorb with people. Then we'll look at the recap. So we'll probably do a recap the next episode. But Yorkis Gamboa, the Protect Yorkis Gamboa campaign is in the description below. Instead of doing a recap today, we're gonna let you watch the fight a few times. I'm sure ESPN will air it a couple times. We can't air it obviously because it's not our content. We don't have exclusive. We don't have rights or the relationship with ESPN to where we can do that. But we'll definitely do a round by round recap, or maybe not round by round, but overall we'll do a recap. Again, predictions are in the link in the description box. So we definitely check that out. Go ahead and subscribe. We in Studio J. People actually spending money on this, so we trying to make some stuff happen. As far as I'll give my thoughts on the fight. A bunch of different texts, some pro fighters, some boxing gurus, some people who are real familiar with the intimacies of the sport. A lot of texts last night, a lot of late night texts, a lot of conversations, a couple of conversations about some of the scoring and so on and so forth. And I was asked, when are you going to put your resume out? When are you going to put your resume out? When are you going to let people know what you've been doing and what you've done in the sport and so on and so forth? And I'll probably do that on a live. I'll probably have whoever's viewing the live just type in whatever it is they want to say, and then we'll get a little personal at that time. But my views on the fight. The first, man, sometimes with technical fighters, we dig ourselves a hole early. I don't know if I'll give. I don't want to tell you what my prediction was, but when you're a slow starter, then you're a documented, notorious slow starter. It is a good idea for your opponent to speed the fight up without too much risk, because generally first few rounds you don't want to. Smart move is you don't want to show your opponent more. You want to show them as little as possible. You're collecting data and so on and so forth. So early on in the fight, Lopez definitely jumped out big on the card. I probably do a round by round as if I was judging it. Um, I'll probably do. Matter of fact, I'll do that right now. First round, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. You could swing 6 and 7. Lopez jumped out early, big, and I saw some of. Again, I got text messages, so on and so forth, like score this round, score that round, yada yada yada. And I had him up big early. By the time we got to round 9, remember that when you click the link in the description box after you subscribe, when you click the link in the description box, remember this number 9. Okay, round 9. Once we got to about round 9, I'm saying to myself, as Lomachenko begins to engage a little more, I'm saying boxing the rest of the way out. This thing is over. That's what if I was judging it, if they called Brett, they called me, and they say, hey man, we want you to come judge this. By round 9, numerically, Lomachenko is already out of the fight. By round 9, the way I scored it. And of course, 10, 11, and 12 is just stay on your feet. That's what I was saying. Just stay on your feet. Jack, pop and move, pop and move, pop and move. Shouldn't be an issue by round 9. What ended up happening was Lomachenko definitely turned up the heat, and because I got calls about the scores. I actually made a comment on Instagram about a score I'm about to address right now. So as the fight 9, 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, Lomachenko turns up the heat, definitely presses the action, and I'm about to really almost contradict myself. I was wrong when I said this, now that I've seen the fight more than once. And I've said this routinely to fighters. Just because, and other people in the business, just because you do better in a round, just because you do better than you did the previous round doesn't mean you won that round. Just because you do better. If you had a slow round 1 and you picked up the pace in round 2, you did better in round 2. That don't mean you won round 2. Just because you did not much in round 8 and then really picked it up in round 9 doesn't mean that you won round 9, so on and so forth. So I definitely think that again, Lomachenko picked up, and he did win, in my estimation, he won some of those late rounds, at least 3 of them. And like I said on the gram, I said I scored it 8-4. I still scored it 8-4 in the end. And I saw some, and again, I saw some things, and again, you got to click the link in the description box of why I made the prediction I made, as the fight seemingly being in the place that I thought it was in by round 9. But I do think it was an entertaining fight. I don't think boxing needed this. I have somebody text me last night, and he was saying, "Yo, boxing needed this. Boxing needed a competitive fight with the correct outcome." And I 100% agreed, of course. Another boxing guru guy who's in the sport and is really connected to what goes on in front and behind the scenes. He texted me last night. I don't drop these people's names. I let them do that on their own. But he texted me last night, and I was saying to him, Vasily should holler rematch right away. Even though I thought he clearly lost. Holler rematch right away. Start campaigning for the rematch. Start campaigning for the rematch. I had another conversation with another boxing official, and he asked a really good question, and he said, "Well, could this fight have been even?" Could this, if you are removing the commentary, which I'll get to another time, would you have scored? Is it conceivable that you wouldn't score 8-4? And I said it's a different look in the building than looking on television. It's a different look. It is definitely different when you're there versus watching it on camera and watching all the replays and run backs and so on and so forth. It's very different. It's very different. I did that, and I found that out. When Canelo Alvarez fought Ersan Lara, I was there, and in the building, it looked like Lara ran away with it. Clearly, when I watched it back, it didn't. Right. So I think it's very possible. I know greatness in the sport. Andre Ward. Shout out to Andre Ward. I'm probably your biggest fan. He scored it even. So I answered the individual I was talking to last night. I say, well, I wouldn't go against what Ward is saying because he said, man, your score is so much different from his. And I said, well, he's there, so he can see stuff I don't see. I'm watching it on TV, so on TV it looks like that. Because again, we got replays, we got this, that, and the third. It's a whole lot of, and then the influence of commentary. I always turn the volume down, except when he's on, except when Ward is on. It definitely looked different in the building. It definitely looked different in the building versus TV, and it definitely looks different based on the boxing intellect of the individuals watching. That don't mean that somebody's wrong necessarily. It's just that they sit in different seats about how they're viewing what they're watching. And so it was very, very difficult to argue a guy who against a guy who's pound for pound number one in the world, and it's dedicated, the time and energy that he's dedicated to the sport. We judge differently. We see things differently. So I said, I don't think Ward scored it wrong, because he asked me, did Ward have it wrong? I said, I don't think he had it wrong. He's just a different vantage point. He's actually in the building. He called a draw. I remember while I'm watching the fight, I had texted a good friend of mine in the business, and I said, hey, this could actually be a draw. I said that, even though I didn't score the draw. I said, if somebody said this was even, then they say, why? And I told them swing rounds, right? If somebody sees certain rounds as swing rounds, they can say Lomachenko ran all the late rounds, like how it was sounding from some other people on the booth. It sounded that way. And so it's easy to get into that mode if you're looking at it that way. If you're looking at it like swing rounds, a bunch of these rounds are swing rounds, you most certainly could. Judges have it. Depends on who's the judge, and depends on what they're looking for, and so on and so forth. So boxing is a very subjective sport. So I did, I'm gonna address the judging a little bit. Click the link in the description box for all the predictions stuff. I can remember around now. I remember I said that. So as the scores are rolling out, I don't know how they're calling it, because doesn't matter. A lot of times it doesn't matter really what's going on in the ring. If a fighter don't know how to work judges, they may be doing something that judges can't see. And so you never know what they're writing over there, long story short. And so I heard the scores roll out because I didn't know how they were going to score. I didn't know how they were going to score. When I heard 119, 109, it's not because I thought I saw it was Teofimo. I was running around the house. I'm so happy. And it's not because I thought it was 119, 109. What my line of thought is, if the score is this, if the margin of the scoring is this wide, it must be, because it only makes sense to score that way. 119, 109, that squarely rests with Lopez. So it didn't really matter to me what the other scores was. I just knew it was unanimous for Lopez. And the unanimous decision is correct. I disagree with 119, 109. I thought it was criminal. I looked back at it. I thought it was criminal. Lomachenko won 3 out of them last 4 rounds, in my opinion, at least 4. Maybe not all 4, but somewhere I think he squeezed around. Maybe he could have squeezed around in somewhere earlier in the fight, and then he won, on the late rounds. I think he probably, and if I remember correctly, I think he definitely won like 12th round. So that kind of wacky stuff, it happens. But so no, I don't totally disagree with Ward's assessment. I really don't. Because again, what you see in the building and what you dissect that's going on in the ring based on your knowledge of the sport, you're going to see different scores. That's why you see different scores from different judges, because everybody's knowledge of the sport. There's some judges who ain't put on a pair of gloves a day in their life. There's judges who've been in the business their whole life that didn't need to put on a pair of gloves because they've been doing it for so many years. But so, and then you have people who have been in the sport, and people who have trained other people, and people who do train themselves, and people who do. So even judges, when you see these scores, it's not one. It depends on the executive director you're dealing with, A and B. It depends on really just your knowledge of the sport. We did it the old, we did it the traditional way. There are other ways to do it now, different rules and different ABC trainings and so on and so forth. But when we did it, it was just you go through the amateurs, you do the amateurs, and then whatever happens, happens. If you want to pursue it on a professional level, you go whatever route you go. So, but I don't want to. I'm not going to get into a debate-ish necessarily at this point. I'm going to do that live. So I will be popping a live up sooner than later about the fight, and if anybody wants to chime in and talk about the fight, we definitely can. But I definitely don't disagree with the fact that it was a unanimous decision. I just don't agree with one of the scorecards. 16-12, 17-11, fine. 119, 109. It's saying Lomachenko lost every single round, and he didn't lose every single round. All right, so from Studio J, yay. Click the link in the description box for Save York's Gamboa campaign. Please subscribe. In that, we also had a description, not description, but prediction. Go to IG, our Instagram. We had some very interesting predictions there also. Check it out. Until then, on the spot.